Hi, this video looks at being a flexible organisation, and I'm kind of covering this bit here, the value of being a flexible organisation. And then the next video will look at these methods of becoming flexible. So, flexible organisations are able to anticipate changes and respond to them quickly. Again, I don't feel the bullet point is the value of being flexible. Obviously, it is a very beneficial thing for an organisation to be flexible. If there are constant changes in the external environment, then organisations need to be flexible enough to respond to them. If an organisation can't respond to changes in the external or the internal environment, then that organisation will not survive long. So that kind of I'm taking as understood. I'll have a look at some of the ways in which an organisation can be flexible in terms of each of the functional areas. So in terms of finance, having reserves of cash, being liquid, when we calculate our current ratio, have we got enough money to pay our debts in the current year, and not being highly geared. We don't want to be indebted to someone, we don't want to be having to pay loads of money back to someone. That would stop us potentially from being flexible. If there's a sudden change in the external environment and say we need to adapt to new products, it's very useful if we've got either cash that we can throw at that, or at least we've got the flexibility to be able to borrow money. If we're already highly geared, that's not going to be possible. In terms of marketing, in order to be flexible, we need to be conducting regular market research and be aware of changes in consumer demand, and even start to anticipate those changes before they really come through. So we need to be extremely close to our customers in order to anticipate their changes in demand and be flexible enough to respond to them. In terms of operations, if we've got short lead times, then we'll be able to fulfill customers' orders nice and quickly. Maybe doing just-in-time production is an example of being flexible, because then we can, we don't have tons of buffer stock, and we could customise the products to our customers' needs. Alternatively, it might be good to have a whole load of buffer stock just in case there are unexpected changes in demand. So that's, different ways of being flexible. Do we want just-in-time production where we can respond to customers' needs, or do we want buffer stock so if there's unexpected changes in demand we can respond to that? So there's a bit of a question there. Utilising mass customization practices, again, it's about personalising stuff for customers. Can we be flexible enough to deal with this particular customer's demand? Subcontracting and outsourcing, these can help us be very flexible in what we're doing. If we're not particularly good at doing something, let's subcontract somebody else to do it. Let's outsource this process and focus on what we're really good at. In terms of HR, having a highly skilled workforce is going to make us more flexible. Are our workers able to anticipate changes and respond to them? If we've got a highly skilled workforce, they're more likely to be able to make those responses. Do we make use of peripheral workers like part-time workers, temporary workers, seasonal workers? That can help us be flexible. If we've suddenly got extra work in that we hadn't anticipated, have we got a pool of reliable workers that we can get in to help us out, to help us deal with that demand? Making use of different types of employment contract, job sharing. We'll cover this in a later video, but really being flexible in how we manage our workforce, and allowing some decentralized decision making in order to enable those staff who are in touch with customers to make the decisions that those customers would want us to make. So these are all ways that we can be flexible. However, in terms of finance, we want to be flexible. We want to have some cash so that, if there are unanticipated changes, then we've got some cash to see us through. But there's a large opportunity cost of holding cash. Maybe it's better to invest in new machinery or training our workers than holding that cash. There's the cost of conducting market research and staying close to our customers. In terms of operations, if we are using just-in-time production, we need to maintain positive relationships with suppliers. We might get tied into just one supplier if we're operating just-in-time production. That might actually reduce our flexibility. Right? We're trying to be flexible. You know, just-in-time production, we can customize each individual product for our customers' needs, but that might tie us into one supplier, which actually makes us less flexible. We're going to need for our workforce to be adaptable and highly skilled, to which there is a cost. And you know, we need to benefit from both customization and economies of scale if we're going to be flexible enough to meet changes in demand. And finally, in terms of human resources, okay, so it's all very well saying we need to make use of different types of workers and peripheral workers and so on and so forth, but what's the morale of those workers like? If we're only using them for a little bit of the year, maybe they don't feel like they've got job security. You know, flexible working practices can create stress for people, especially depending on how you do it, but things like 0 hours contracts can be very stressful for workers to be on. And being flexible often requires redundancies to be made. You know, often when businesses say, oh, we're looking to become more flexible, that's often code for we're going to get rid of a layer of managers, do some delayering, which obviously can be very damaging for morale.